Federico Chiesa. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Liverpool Girlies Podcast, a place where we welcome anyone who loves to obsess over Liverpool FC and wants to talk about everything from Chiesa's outstanding performances this week to Sobo rating his teammates' haircuts. My name is Stephanie and I'm here with Annika and Molly Ann. We're three friends who share a love of Liverpool and dream of one day having a cup of coffee at the AXA Training Center coffee bar. We had another late winner in the Carabao Cup and our match today against Crystal Palace, which was a little heartbreaking, last minute loss for us, a little bit different. It was interesting to feel that from the other side. We'll get into all that. How are you guys feeling today, about this week?
Been a roller coaster.
Yeah, I was like, oh, how the tables have
to
turned.
say the least.
But
we're still doing last minute. We're just not sure if it's a win or a loss at this
Still thrilling.
Hey, at least we're consistent. Yep.
Has us engaged till the very end, for sure.
Like, you just can't get comfortable because you never know how it's going to end up.
Yeah, you've got to love football. It just keeps you completely reeled in.
Anyone who says that they're not a fan of football because the scoring is low, it's so exciting. Like with NFL, you can anticipate when things are going to happen. And yeah, there are sometimes some surprises with like fumbles and interceptions and pick sixes and things like that. But with the Premier League, my eyes are just glued to the screen the entire time because it can change in an instant. So
yeah, you can never look away.
How entertaining. Yeah.
Before we get into all that happened during the matches this week, we wanted to start with another I'm sorry, which is a phrase that we use in our group chat as a place of honor. It's something that we need to have a little bit of a passionate, positive rant about. So we're going to give, I think Molly Ann, you might have one first. We're going to give you 60 seconds to tell us about something that you need to share with the class.
I'm sorry, but we need to talk about player-specific songs and, spoiler alert, a new release of Chiesa's song coming Monday. This part is not a hot take. I love player-specific songs. I love the songs, the energy that it brings into the stadium. Everyone that loves football loves that. I think it's so fun to see different groups, different people creating songs for players earning their song and that like being a big deal to have a song. I love those moments.
Seconds.
I have a version of a song that I would like to catch on and I would like to see its way into Anfield. And that would be Dominic Soboslai's version of I Want to Dance with Somebody, but it's I Want to Dance with Soboslai. So if you need to see a clip of that, go to OLSC New York. And on Monday, the Ragamuffins are releasing their version of Chiesa's song, and I cannot wait to hear it. They make the most like upbeat, iconic Liverpool songs.
Yes, I was
hoping that Soboslai one is the one that you were going to say.
I love that song.
Good.
I'm like, why is this not catching on with the Cop? We need it in the Cop. I Want to Dance with Soboslai. It's perfect. I won't sing it here for everybody. No one needs to witness that. Please go find it in another media outlet. But I love these songs.
But the lyrics are
Soboslai.
I want to dance with Soboslai. I want to win the league
with Soboslai from
and then
Hungary.
I want to dance with Soboslai. Yeah.
It's just so good.
So good.
It is such a good one. And that song, whenever I end up hearing it,
I love that like a badge of honor for the players. Like I have a song and Dom needs an actual song. He is putting in the work and the name is hard, but we found a song where it works. So let's get it to the Cop.
He needs a song. We sing that song all the time. When we went to see Liverpool play in Philadelphia, we made a sign.
It said, I want to dance with Soboslai.
That said, I want to dance with Soboslai.
So I love it.
And we held it up so proudly.
Yeah, I love the songs. Maybe this is embarrassing to admit, but I'll do it for the pod. These songs crack into my Spotify Wrapped every single year because I listen to them so much. Like pre-match, post-match, middle of the week, I need a little hype moment. I'm putting on some Liverpool songs.
My new favorite pre-match tradition driving to the pub is listening to the playlist that we got set up. It's mostly Liverpool player songs, but then there's also some vibe songs in there too. So that's what I was blasting on
One
the way to the pub
Kiss,
this morning.
Dua Lipa, always a vibe.
Oh,
So,
yes.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm so excited for an actual version of Kay's song that I can have on my own listening device.
I agree with you, Molly Ann. I'm so excited for Monday. I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that piece of news about the Ragamuffins.
They don't know me,
That's
but I feel like I am
really fun.
I won't say the hype girl. I haven't met another one, but I'd like to be considered a Ragamuffins hype girl because I love their renditions.
Do you think that you could get Kia's song into your Spotify Wrapped before the end
yeah,
of the year?
I could.
Okay.
That'll be my challenge. I'll show y'all my Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year.
Okay, we'll have to check back in on that one.
Ragamuffins, you heard it here first. Your number one hype girl. You're in her Spotify Wrapped every season. You're going to end up getting tagged in a story on Instagram. So just keep an eye out for it.
Before we get into the matches, some more fun things to talk about this week. Our players received their FC26 player rating cards, which was a really cute moment. I don't know if y'all had a chance to watch that. To me, I had two moments that stuck out. One iconic, one heartwarming. The iconic one was Florian Wirtz comparing his stats and his physical body to Dominic Soboslai, and the diabolical side eye that Sobo gave him. It's ice cold.
It's my new favorite meme. It is hands down my new favorite Liverpool meme of literally Dom turning his head like, did you really just say that? Oh, it's so good.
My favorite part of that interaction was Curtis being like, yeah, you're both great. And he's trying to mediate between the two of them. And it was so funny.
It's peak. My other one was at the very end of the video. Woodman, he is new to the squad, just signed, and right at the kind of end of the transfer window. And so he's looking at his card, and I don't remember exactly his stats. They weren't the numbers you would be wanting to see as a player, but he just turns and he was like, there's only two things that matter, and they're both on here. The first one is that it says Premier League, and the second one is that it says Liverpool. And I thought that was such a sweet moment. He's still so proud to have that card and be a part of the team, even though he's not someone we see on the pitch a lot. I love the FC player ratings. It did also make me really sad this year because it's normally a moment that we see Diogo getting to go around and talk to the team. I appreciated the club's approach of just leaving it up to the players to handle that moment however they wanted. And not trying to force somebody else to have to step into that, because Diogo's done it for so long and he was a gamer. That's something he was passionate about. And so I like that they just gave them the space to feel however they wanted to feel when they got their cards.
Some of the most highlighted moments on social media with the team at the training center is from those videos. One of my favorites last year was Matt going, Federico Chiesa. And last year was the time when Darwin was like, why have I done this? I've been on the bench out of the 4 of the last 5 games. And yeah.
It's really cool to see their competitive spirit come out in a way that is reflective of their career, but also is ultimately not that important. It doesn't actually affect how they play on the pitch, but it's funny to see them have a little, look, our scores are similar, or, oh, at least it went up, or, oh, that's worse than last year. It's fun to hear them poke fun at each other and at themselves sometimes.
And something that the three of us have talked about is the fact that this team is really good at celebrating one another. They gave a lot of space for that. I don't see, at least from what we are shown on social media, I don't see a lot of, oh, yours is this and mine is this. There's not a lot of comparison. They joke around about it, but they do spend a lot of time celebrating each other for habit. I think Gravenberg had the highest jump up from his ranking, which was really exciting.
They're driven themselves, but they also are honored to be on a team with so many other driven and hardworking and successful players. And so you can tell when they have a chance to lift each other up. It's, yeah, but have you seen my teammate? He's incredible.
We also had one of our favorite activities pop up. We are big cruise people. And especially Molly Ann and I were obsessed with silent disco. We will do silent disco basically 24/7 if we had the opportunity to.
Yes.
Waking
they do silent
up,
disco 24/7.
It's just so good. It's like literally one of my favorite activities to the point where I have wanted to just buy a silent disco set so I could have it at home and invite friends over. But waking up the other day and seeing videos of players doing silent disco, I was like, if I were one of those kids doing silent disco with Ryan Gravenberg, I don't think I would be able to exist anymore. Oh my gosh, that was
Yeah.
so much fun.
I think I would have a completely different relationship with silent disco if I was doing it with the Liverpool squad. So I'm completely open to that possibility in case anyone is wondering. One of my favorite moments was Ryan's baseball cap, wig, and glasses to try to
I was like,
disguise
worst disguise
himself.
ever.
The kid, horrible.
And that
But
teenage
it
boy
really
was
made me
like,
laugh.
Yeah.
Gravenberg. It's not. No. Gravenberg. No, that is like stops everything. No, that's
Yeah.
So funny. And outside of some of the, more silly fun things, we also saw Rio sign his first professional contract. So this is so exciting for him. What were your guys' thoughts? Were you surprised to see this or did you see it coming?
just glad to be done with the transfer stuff and just all of a sudden have, okay, great. We're not letting people's contracts die down. Like the Cody Gakpo one, what, a month ago, that was surprising and also very exciting. But Rio is incredibly promising. And the fact that he is choosing to stay here is, I'm just so excited to have him.
And with each opportunity he has to play with the first team, it's really cool to see like the small changes he makes, the small corrections he makes, and the coaching, and the communication that he's growing with the other players. It's really cool to see, and I hope we get to see a lot more of him this season.
And then we had, in addition to Rio's signing, another moment of celebration. Another Liverpool baby has been born. Congratulations to Alexis McAllister and his partner on their sweet baby girl. So we're just like, we got our midfield they're pumping out the work on the pitch. They're pumping out the babies off the pitch because we got a Gravenberch baby, a Soboslai baby, and a McAllister baby.
And all baby girls.
Yeah.
So
So congratulations. We love more Liverpool babies in the family.
This past week, we were in the third round of the Carabao Cup. We played Southampton, another last minute winner, another doozy. A lot happened. We had our first goal for Isak. That was really exciting. How did you guys feel about that match? We were all here, weren't we? Yes, midday game. We love those noon games here in Seattle.
It was just like a little bit of a struggle of a game. I think in the first half, I used the analogy, very profound analogy of, I just feel like it's a bunch of baby kittens running around trying to figure out what they're doing. Because sometimes it just felt, like it just, and right, it was 11 new players. Like just were players that haven't seen a lot of match time, 11 players that haven't played together. So very understandable. And you've got Southampton that's going to come in. This is probably one of their biggest games. Like they're going to bring their best team. And so you could just tell this group didn't quite know like how to communicate, where to expect passes. I think we saw a lot of great moments with Leoni and Marbadashvili, but it just was giving a little chaotic at times as well.
One of the things I had taken note of during the match was just watching them work through the communication live throughout the match. And it is always stressful to see that happening, but also it's really interesting to watch the different dynamics unfold and see like Joe in the back trying to teach like Trey, okay, here's what I need from you, and seeing those moments play out. I'm curious to see as we go further in the Carabao Cup and some of these players we don't normally see keep starting. What does that communication look like with more time played together? Do we start to see improvements, or is Slot going to change up the lineup, go a different direction? I'm not sure.
It's just really interesting because, and when we talk about the Crystal Palace game, we'll get into that communication too. But because we had so much turnover, both our first team and like the beginning of the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, both of those teams, both of those sets of players are having to learn how to play together. So it's really interesting to be on the edge of my seat on both ends of things. So yeah, especially the first 15, 20 minutes, you could just tell they had a rough time communicating with one another, but they were able to figure it out. Thankfully, we squeezed out a one. But I'm glad that Alex got his first goal in. We got to see debuts for Mamadashvili, Leoni. That was really exciting. And then Dan's. Oh my gosh, Annika, especially you were so excited to see his name on the lineup.
I was so excited to see the return of Dan's. I was just so fond of him during the Carabao Cup a couple years ago. And so to see him back in Liverpool red, just it warmed my heart so much.
The Carabao Cup is like so nostalgic for me and so heartwarming because, especially when it comes to the younger players, because in our first season was when we won the Carabao Cup and everyone on our first team was injured. And so we always said, oh, it's the babies that are going to play. And they're the ones that ended up winning it in like again, a last minute winner is in extra time.
I wonder partially if the fact that our first team was so injured and that our babies were playing a lot more in the Premier League as well helped them do as well in the Carabao Cup, that they like had more playing time together. Part of me wonders that as well from that season.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what y'all think of as we move into the next match. We played Crystal Palace today with our first string. We play Crystal Palace again. What do you think about the lineup? Do we think we're going to continue to see that match time for our younger players? Or do you think it starts to switch now to, okay, we're up against Crystal Palace, like we're going to put our starting lineup in?
I think it depends on when it falls.
Yeah. There's just been a lot of talk, especially from Slot lately, about he made a comment recently that said you could see last year how tired our main players were. And so from what it sounds like, he's wanting to do a little bit more of a turnover. The way that he's pulling different players in at different times is going to look different than it did. But especially Crystal Palace is just our Achilles heel. So for the Carabao Cup, this next round, how many times are we playing Crystal Palace this
no
season?
big.
No, I think it's going to end up being our first
Oh,
string.
no. Sorry. I saw a graphic with 5, but it was from last season. It was 5 in 2025.
That's
Too many.
crazy. Many times. No, I think it depends on what the matches are surrounding it, what the player fitness level is, just what the schedule is. I think there's going to be a lot of factors in it, but I think we're going to lean more towards we're not going to be willing to just drop out of the Carabao Cup in the 4th round.
But also, the year that we won the Carabao Cup, we weren't playing in the Champions League. So we have Premier League, Carabao Cup, and Champions League. And I can't, obviously, if we're going to start any of the players that we don't normally start, it would be in the Carabao Cup. So I don't think we'll see as many of our first team bench as we did this first game, considering it was following the Ballon d'Ors and as well as just a run of a lot of matches in a very short span of time. But I do wonder if for some of the players' longevity, like playing in the Champions League, you're going to end up starting your top players in that. There's just no other option.
With Southampton, I did think there were there were more than a couple bright spots, but for me, this is like a positive and then sadly a negative, was Leoni getting his first start and just seeing how well he was playing and that potential that was there to ultimately now know we're going to wait a whole nother year to hope to see him again. But you could just watch him and it was like watching a little Virgil van Dijk on the pitch, the way that he, like his focus, the like way he postured his body on. I know he's defenders defend. That looks really similar, but there was just something about his like posture, his poise, the cadence of his running that was very Virgil to me, which is always exciting to see. So hopefully there's a quick recovery in that it really will be a year or less and we get to see him next year, because that was exciting and devastating all in one moment.
Yeah, it was really the time that he was playing. It was so incredible to see the work that he was doing and see such a talented athlete that it makes it just even more sad and devastating for him, especially personally. Just, he's such a young guy and like facing this injury is really intense. And obviously it was a scary moment on the pitch just to figure out what is going on and is everything okay. So obviously grateful that he got the help that he needed in that moment and that he's on a road to recovery, but very, very long. A year is not a short amount of time.
Yeah, so the next step is to figure out who's going to do the surgery and then who's going to do the rehab. Virgil has gone through something the exact same thing in 2020. So he has people around him that have gone through it and can support him.
And I like too being new to a city, and this was his first time starting with the team, right? So he is just barely even building relationships with everyone. So I'm curious to see as it unfolds and as he's in recovery, like how much we further down the line, once he's past surgery into rehab, do we see him around the training center and stuff, still building those relationships with the guys, or what does that look like for him? But yeah, thinking a lot about him.
So sad. For that game, also, Endo was stellar for the Southampton game. He did make a little mistake in the box, which led to the goal for Southampton, but outside of that, was absolutely stellar. I also did see a stat that it was the third time ever for Liverpool that it was two Italians starting. I saw someone online called it the Italian job. I love it so much. I've spent a lot of time in Italy and I love both Chiesa and Leoni. And so that was really fun to see. So I just love these League Cups we get outside of what we're used to with the Premier League. We see so much of it. It just feels like a different pace. It's different, like reffing. It's just, it just shakes it up a little bit. So yeah, it's always a nice little refresh in between the intensity and the rivalry and the craziness within the Premier League. Yeah. Also, Arne in his post match interview was a little jokester after that game. He said they were asking about Isak and he goes, he's the record British signing and no one talks about it. So I figured it'd be smart for me to bring it up. That man is a comedian. I love him so much. He's so unserious in the appropriate times.
He's so tired of talking about the signings from the summer. He's like, please. He's like, I know you're going to ask.
No, it's really
okay. Do we have to talk about it?
We got it. I'm sorry, Annika, but we have to talk about Hugo Ekitike.
Okay.
You get the floor first if you would like it.
Okay. I'll just express my journey that I went on as Hugo Ekitike's #1 fan. Stan have stated that on this podcast previously. For whatever reason, I don't know what was going on, but I missed the moment that he got his first yellow card. So I actually somehow, some way did not catch on to that personally as a viewer. And so in the moment when he scored the goal, of course, Chiesa really brought that forward, made it happen. His grit was incredible. I just want to acknowledge that. And then Hugo was able to dink it in. Whoa, how do we do it every time? It's insane. This is incredible. Can't believe it. I see Hugo start to run. All of a sudden his shirt's coming off. I'm thinking, okay, that's a little strange, but again, I missed the first yellow card. So I can tell that something is not right, but then all of a sudden I see yellow, red, and I was like, I'm shocked. And I think I immediately was like, oh, Hugo. Oh no, what happened? I'm replaying every moment in my mind, and then quickly it all pieces together. This is a very shocking moment, and there are consequences for this moment. And obviously, I have all the context now of the aftermath of that and the way that Arne and Andy, both, Frimpong, everyone both held him accountable for that action and also offered him a lot of grace and understanding that this is part of learning what it is to play with Liverpool and in the Premier League. I'm curious to see where we go from here and what this means for Hugo starting and stuff like that. But yeah, I went through an emotional roller coaster there for a minute.
It was definitely confusing because it seemed just out of character for him. I don't know if I don't know if there's an inner conflict of, okay, Isak is coming. The media is creating so much competition between Isak and Ekitike, and there doesn't need to be. There was never between Darwin and Luis Diaz and Diogo. There are strikers. There's no competition. We need all of them. So I don't know if it's that built up competition from the media side of things. And he was like, oh, Isak scored the first half. I'm scoring now. How exciting. It just came out of nowhere. And honestly, Chiesa was the one that did the hard work with it. And Ekitike just dinked it in. And it was just a very confusing moment. And immediately everyone stopped cheering and stopped getting excited when he took his shirt off. And it was just, the secondhand embarrassment that I felt. And I felt so bad for Ekitike when it hit him and he realized. And then seeing the photo of Chiesa just leaning up against a Southampton player, head in his hands, so frustrated. Yeah, it was a very interesting, very confusing, out of character decision.
I think Hugo probably just lost the memory that he had that yellow card. What I loved coming out of that was he's learned a huge lesson on his own, but then seeing the interviews that Slot and Robertson gave following that moment of, I bet he's not going to do it again. It's a big lesson to learn. Slot talking about the red card he got at Everton last year and being like, Hugo's red card was needless and stupid. My red card last year at Everton was needless and stupid. We have to learn how to control our emotions. And then I don't know if y'all saw the rumor swirling that Hugo's pay was docked for 2 weeks. Slot was asked about that in another press conference. And he just said, we're a club that allows you to learn from your mistakes. Like, you've made one mistake. We're not fining you for that. I just thought even more highly of our club and of our managers, that in this moment, it'd be really easy to be like, we're going to punish you. We're going to make sure you know that this was wrong. And it just has shown like they've created a psychologically safe environment. Like, when you know you can go in somewhere and make a mistake and people are going to hold you accountable for it, but like you're not so worried about it being like the end of your career or like you've broken all trust. I just thought was really beautiful and really important. So yeah, wish Hugo hadn't done it. I think we could have used him today, but I think it was just like a really great lesson. And again, it's just like another moment that shows us the culture that our team has and like the strength, like trust and relationships that they've built with each other.
And we'll get to see a lot about his character. We've seen a lot about it, how he immediately apologized to his teammates, how he posted something on his Instagram story that was really great, the way that he held himself accountable and how he's going to bounce back from this. I'm really curious to see how that's going to work. And I have full faith in him
Slot had mentioned, he was like, if you ask any of our staff members, our team members, tell me the top 3 like most respectful individuals on the team. He's like, Hugo is already in the top 3 on everybody's list. So he's like, this is a one-off from him. It's a sucky lesson to learn, but like Robertson said, he's not going to do it again.
And like we've talked about this before, but the emotions that all of these like players are carrying and how intense and emotional the game really is, it's so interesting when we get that perspective so clearly as the fan and as the viewer to see that come to the surface. It's the moments where you see Mo crying at the cop and you're like, oh, wait, you're a real human and you just are going through emotions in the same way. Hugo, and you're like, oh, you made a decision without thinking. Oh, okay, I do that too. But here it is on a global scale.
I can't imagine what it's like being a professional athlete, whether it's football or Formula One or really anything, because these guys go out and they put their all into it, and then thousands of people nitpick every single thing that they do. And we'll get into it talking about the Crystal Palace match. But you make one mistake and you have one bad game and it's okay, it's over, you're the worst, we need to replace you. No. As a human being, let them live, let them be. The amount of responsibility and adrenaline that they have like pumping through them during these really high intense times, and then how they're expected to keep calm and cool and collected as other people are not being as respectful. It's just, I could never do it. And I have so much respect for these human beings on the pitch and entertaining us and bringing us so much joy and unity. And they do such good for the world, but it does not come without a cost for the pressures that they have. And I just really commend all of them. And I really commend Hugo for making a mistake and responding to it in a very respectful way. And a lot of young kids can learn a lot from how he responded to that.
Should we talk a little bit about Crystal Palace?
I guess.
It's our first loss on the pod, so we're ripping the Band-Aid off.
It had to happen. It really had to happen.
Yeah.
At some point.
Fortunate thing about being a team that is in a season where we see a lot of wins is that sometimes we remember the losses more clearly. So I was thinking about that as I was driving home from the pub this morning. I'm going to remember this match for a long time because of the impact that it makes and what I have, the perspective I have right now on what it means for our season, but I'm curious where it will sit within the story of this season when we look back at the end of the campaign. What did this game end up meaning for us? Yeah, I'm curious, like, what were you guys thinking as we were going into this game? We knew that it was something that was going to feel probably high pressure, and Crystal Palace is a difficult team to play. And then, yeah, sitting here now, understanding what happened, where are you guys at?
Yeah, I always think that we will win. I always think we're going to pull it out, even if it is in the very last minute. As we've established, I love that. But also knew like this was going to be an intense environment. Crystal Palace is a fantastic team. So it was not going to be an easy game. And then getting close to the end, it was like, are we at least going to draw or are we going to pull it out again?
Yeah.
But as much as the loss hurts, I think, again, it's like a week of lessons, right? It's a great lesson to learn. Like, we can't always wait until the end. Like, you have to control the game earlier if you want to be in control of the ending. And we get to learn now how this team responds to a loss and whether like it refocuses us, it aligns us and makes us better, or is it something that we have a harder time recovering from? So in a season that's so long, it's like college basketball. There's so many games you're going to see a loss. I'd much rather have a loss earlier and understand how we're going to overcome it, how we respond to it, instead of getting to December or January and not having a loss. And then at that point, realizing we don't know how to respond to these things. So it's hard for sure. I'd always want the win, but if it's going to happen, let's let it happen now and be able to learn and move on.
It's a similar time frame to our loss to Nottingham Forest last year. After this match, I looked it up. It was September 14th. So it was 2 weeks after. We learned a lot from the Nottingham Forest game last year, and we're now at 40 games in a row where we've scored in the Premier League, which is really exciting. So we've kept that streak, which I'm really grateful for. The loss does not dishearten me. A lot of chatter that I've seen online is everyone's Liverpool did terribly. How dare they? They were a mess. And yeah, there are spots where we could have done better, obviously, but the second half really gave me a lot of hope for what this team is capable of, because we saw a couple of things switch by Arne, but you could see them gel a little bit more at times, and we had a lot more opportunities to score. And so after the second half, I was like, okay, even if we end up losing this, I don't feel beat down. I feel that they played decently. They fixed a couple of things and they came back in the second half fighting. And so I saw a lot of really great qualities even then after a loss.
Absolutely. Yeah, I noted around like minute 55, I was like, okay, the momentum is here. We have arrived. Something is happening and something is building. And that momentum continued chance after chance up until Chiesa scored in the 87th minute. And so it's like Slot's been saying all season about the mentality that the players have and that determination. I could tell that some of them were frustrated, but also it was shot after shot that people were trying to make and different opportunities. There was a lot of creativity that I was seeing too, which I appreciated. It wasn't just like it wasn't like the cycle of we keep taking corners and they're not working. So it was cool to see.
It was creativity from the players and creativity from Slot, and where he was putting different players and doing different subs.
Yeah, I mean, Sobo played like so many different positions. Like, we saw him back and right back, which, guys, I'm just like, do we not just start Sobo as right back? It seems to be working.
It's so good. Yeah, Slot made a couple substitutions that like maybe took me by surprise or like I didn't see exactly coming. Some of which being when Konate was subbed off and Frimpong came on. Obviously, thrilled to see Frimpong on the pitch, but I was a little surprised to see Konate off the pitch before the end of the match. Yeah, it was just interesting to see those adjustments that he made, including Cody being subbed on at the half for Bradley, changing that momentum as well.
But I think especially with kind of our game management through this season and not being the ones in control. Last year, we just always saw Endo come on and lock it down. And so it's something I appreciate about Slot. He's going to continue to put on attacking players to try to win the match. And I think this is one of those moments where maybe you put someone different on and we at least draw. But I like the approach of like, we're going in for the win. And in hindsight, I don't know, maybe you asked me at the 90th minute if I take the 1 point and I say yes, but it just shows the trust that he has in his players. And yeah, there were some mistakes made in those final few minutes that caused the draw to a loss, but they're going to learn. Like, they're continuing to learn.
It is interesting that attacking mentality that we've clearly seen, and we've been securing these last minute wins. In Slot's press conference afterwards, he mentioned that there was only a minute left in the game. It was over for winning, but we needed to defend the draw. And so you could see from his point of view, it was like, nope, we're not even trying for the attack anymore. Now we're falling back to the defensive position. So I think, speaking on the topic of lessons, that is probably something that is going to be fleshed out as the team of, okay, this is the moment in which we're now moving on from attacking back to defending to make sure that doesn't happen.
I think that's a great point, because we've seen 5 games in a row. How many was it? Of no, but if we just keep going, we're gonna score. And so I get that. If you're a player on the pitch, you're thinking, if I've got 30 seconds, let me take a shot. And so, it's that communication, that understanding and expectation that they now get to go back and say, hey guys, if we've got the point and there's 1 minute left, let's keep the point and move on.
Even I, as a fan, was watching them all line up, and I was like, okay, who could maybe get the ball and then get it down the other side and just try for something.
I wasn't thinking, guys, let's hold the point. Really, I was like, let's go.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling nervous about losing the point. Should have been.
I feel like it was a game of 2 halves. The first half, we were non-existent as a cohesive team. It was as if in the last third of the pitch, our communication and our passing accuracy just disintegrated. I don't know what was happening. And it was happening from everyone. Just the passing accuracy, we just gave away so many chances in that first half. But that, I really think, is a showcase of it takes time to build chemistry. We're in a transition season. We got 7 new players this season over the transfer window. So it's going to take time, and I feel like I hate losing, but like you said, Molly-Ann, I'm glad it happened now, because it's just a wake-up call, especially for the new players on our team, and you get to see them come together, and how do they take something like that and build themselves back up and then go and use that as fuel for the next couple of games. I have full faith in them. Again, the second half, I really saw them show up well and figure out a couple of things. It's hard because I've just seen a lot of people be really hard on Mo and how he's losing his game. He's not as good as last season. Y'all, he's learning how to play with his new teammates. He's allowed to have a bad game. Everyone is allowed to have a bad game. I have not lost my faith in any of them. Crystal Palace is a phenomenal side. What did you say, Annika, when we were at the pub?
It was like, why do their legs move so fast? Because it felt like every time they were next to one of our players, I was like, they are so fast. I appreciated our dear friend, Coach Amy, sending us a text message to help us understand what was going on. And she said, they're pressing really high and it's rattling our team. That is what's going on. And I was like, okay, thank you. But it's okay. So the team's rattled. Where do we go from here? How do we communicate with each other? How do we push through, have that mentality, have the grit that you need to have to make it till a moment where there starts to be a break. We see an opportunity.
I would be rattled too if I were playing in the iconic AFC Richmond Stadium. I mean, come on. It's an iconic place to be. Yeah, you get to play in Anfield all the time, but come on, it's Ted Lasso's stadium.
Yeah. I thought a palace made of crystal was...
Sounds mighty fragile if you ask me.
Yes,
I tried to land my joke. Didn't work.
We're just proud you knew something from Ted Lasso.
I know a line from Ted Lasso.
Crystal Palace is such a good side. Their players feel... Okay, I was trying to figure out the best analogy with this. In Space Jam, where the other guys are on the team are small and then there are really big crazy monsters that they're playing against. That's what Crystal Palace feels like to me. Their players are so good and they're so good defensively. I was really nervous going into this week and it played out pretty much how I'd expected it to. It is really disappointing, but again, I have full faith in them. We're going to figure it out. We have such quality on our team and Slot is amazing and these guys, and we have Virgil who's captaining everyone. So
I wanted to say shout out to my mom. I wasn't allowed to watch Space Jam. We owned the VHS, but I've never seen it. So
I also have not seen Space Jam.
I know the song. It was on Radio Disney, but
okay.
Shout out to Christy. I
literally on my way to the pub, I was blasting Space Jam. It's on the playlist that we put together. Yeah. So maybe that's why, and that song's been stuck in my head. Maybe that is why I thought of that. But Crystal Palace feels very intimidating, and they're very good. So congrats to them on that last second win. We were Liverpooled, y'all.
And seriously, the Etsy witch, someone else paid her.
I was
What's
just
going
like,
on?
the power was getting to my head, to be honest. So I had to let one go, y'all. I'll be back. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And luckily for us, we get to play Crystal Palace 2 more times. So we have plenty of time to figure this out.
Oh, all right. Anything else from today's match before we look ahead at Champions League coming up?
Thank you, Cheese, for scoring for us. You're amazing.
Yeah. And
That's
speaking
all.
of Cheese, he's officially been added to the Champions League roster. I'm so excited for him, and I hope he gets minutes. And when he gets on the pitch, I hope he plays like with a chip on his shoulder, like he has something to prove, because he has earned that time.
Yes. I felt that from him the entire match against Southampton. Like, he was out there being like, yeah, I'm a starter, and watch what I can do with 90 minutes. Thank you. It was so great.
Yeah. And then any other kind of thoughts going into Galatasaray?
That is going to be an intense situation to go into. That whole environment. Yeah, we're used to Anfield, but it's going to be coming from the other side. So that I feel like, who knows what's going to end up happening. I feel confident in how we're going to be able to play them. I don't think they did very well in their last Champions League match.
They lost like 5-1 to Frankfurt, I think. It was like a pretty big, yeah,
but they were away at Frankfurt. And we know what a home game can do for a team. Yeah, it will be interesting. I'm excited to see, but Champions League, we love a Champions League match.
I love a Champions
League I'm excited.
Match.
I think like
Makes me so excited.
Moments where I'm like so grateful we still have Robertson and like his experience on the pitch. I would expect that we see him start against Galatasaray, and so just having a little bit more of that like groundedness and some of the players that have played in these big games before, I think will be really helpful. I've seen so many videos of Galatasaray at home, their fans, and so I'm hopeful for the winning outcome for us, but I love a good environment, and they seem to be able to deliver that. So it'll be exciting.
Yes.
3 games in a row of traveling, though.
I know. We're on a home streak, and now we're on an away streak. It's exciting times. Are we ready for our players of the week? Should we get into it? Steph, do you want to kick us off?
Yes, my player of the week is Leoni. Watching him got me so excited. That kid, 18 years old, and he can defend the way that he is. Molly, and you hit it right on the nose of comparing him to Van Dijk, the way that he moves on the pitch, just his stride alone. It was like startling to see that young of a kid have that type of posture and confidence on the pitch, and the number of saves that he had made, and the way that he helped Mamadashvili behind him. It was just, I was increasingly impressed with him and gutted for him that he got hurt, especially with something like an ACL. It was also really hard to watch the game go on while he was literally put on a stretcher. That was really hard to see him go down. But I know he didn't get to play a full match, and he's out for probably a year, but I just wanted to give him a little bit of honor in that way. So he is my player of the week.
He's been using the legs of Virgil van Dijk workout regime, if you ask me. Okay, well, this is going to be the first time, and I'm sure not the last time, where I'm going to bend the rules of player of the week slightly. And my player of the week is our goalies. Mamadashvili making his debut in Carabao play, and then obviously Alisson today with like incredible save after incredible save against Crystal Palace. He's why we could stay in the game. It could have easily been like 4-0 pretty early on. And watching Mamadashvili during Carabao, I was just thinking, wow, we're in such great hands when Alisson is no longer on the team. But then watching Alisson today, I was like, wait, this man is not showing any signs of slowing down. And so it was just like a really fun to see him like still feel like he's in his prime, and he's an incredible goalkeeper. And then we have another one right behind him. I think both kept us in both of our matches. They made a win possible. They made an almost draw possible. And so just have to give a double player of the week to Mamadashvili and to Alisson Becker.
Me, a
We
goalkeeper.
couldn't do it
No.
without our keepers. That is
And then if we
for
want to like
sure.
asterisk,
Say-
we have to give Kelly props today because he was
I had that in my
incredible
notes.
against Man U
Oh
and
my gosh.
stopped a penalty kick, and Brentford ended up winning, which we love to see.
Yes. Kelly has
during-
made 7 penalties in his career combined, Liverpool and Brentford, and has saved
Yeah.
4 of the 7. He has a more than 50% save rate, including the penalty against Kylian Mbappe last year in the Champions League.
Ugh.
That I literally was like,
Yeah.
asterisk shout out to Kelleher before we end this, because I was so excited to see. I'm so happy for him. He deserves that starting spot
Yeah.
so
So
much.
when I say goalies are my
Absolutely.
players of the week, it is goalies past and present that get the recognition.
Yeah, anyone who takes down Man
Yeah.
United is a friend of Liverpool.
That poor guy who's not cutting his hair for Man United. Ugh,
Oh,
they
yeah.
had 1 win and now he's
Yeah.
back to ground
United
zero
Strand,
again.
we believe in you.
But yes, we love our keepers. They keep us sane and protected.
Mhm.
Annika, what about you?
Absolutely. It's got to be Chiesa. He had his shining star moments in both matches this week. We've talked about him obviously a lot already, but his mentality, his grit, and I saw a quote that he said after finding out he wasn't originally selected for the UCL squad, where he was just like, okay, I understand. And you could see the way that he went out and played that Carabao Cup game was watch me shine, watch me do my thing, and creating those chances. And obviously the goals weren't in his name, but as far as I'm concerned, they were in his name. Like, those were the goals that he worked so hard for. And then I was so happy today that he got to have a goal against Crystal Palace coming off the bench. So yeah, Chiesa, absolutely cheese, as I lovingly refer to him as.
I appreciate the entire campaign of Start Cheese. Everyone that I've seen is just, no, he needs to be a starter in the Premier League. So we'll see if that ends up happening. I trust Slot.
Yeah.
I trust him to make his decisions. I'm not the playmaker. I do not have his job. There's a reason why he has his job. So he's going to make the decisions for him. But
And
I've
it
been
seems
really
like-
impressed with him.
And he's a good fit in Liverpool, where he has that right mentality that's like, when I'm on the pitch, I'm going to be delivering the very best I can. I'm not going to be moody about it. But then also sometimes we have a great team that's a lot of players. So we see different starts from different people, but I hope we get to see even more of him coming up.
Before we wrap up, I did have one dad pun that I forgot about that I would like to share if we did talk about the Ballon d'Or.
Please.
And I wanted to shout out Virgil
go
van
ahead.
Dijk's Ballon d'Or on the red carpet going into the ceremony. His aura, but it's Ballon d'Or. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh.
All right, so that's all for this week's episode. We'll be back here next week, but until then, you'll never walk alone.
What are you saying?
He had great Ballon d'Or.
Oh, man.
Yes. Way to go.